The Galactic Confederation's central diplomatic complex rose like a crystalline mountain on the artificial world of Nexus Prime. Its architecture defied human understanding. A living structure of metamaterials that shifted and breathed, responding to the collective consciousness of dozens of alien species. Ambassador Thomas Chen stood quietly in the massive reception hall, his tailored charcoal suit a stark contrast to the flowing, almost liquid forms of the alien diplomats surrounding him. To the casual observer, Chen appeared unremarkable. His posture was slightly hunched, his movements carefully measured to appear non-threatening. Dark circles under his eyes suggested exhaustion, a deliberate performance of human limitation that masked a razor-sharp intellect. Behind him, a small delegation of human representatives maintained similar poses, heads slightly bowed, movements carefully restrained. The Vornak representative, a being composed of interconnected crystalline structures that mimicked a humanoid form, regarded Chen with what passed for curiosity among its species. Electromagnetic pulses translated its communication into human language, its voice a precise, almost mechanical tone. "Your species continues to demonstrate remarkable compliance," the Vornak diplomat observed. "The latest trade restrictions have been accepted without significant protest." Chen offered a practiced smile, humble, slightly deferential. "We are grateful for the guidance of the Confederation," he responded, each word carefully chosen. Humanity is still learning, after all. What the Vornak did not see was the complex network of micro-expressions that passed between Chen and Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who stood at the edge of the delegation. A barely perceptible narrowing of eyes, a microscopic twitch of a finger, a communication far more sophisticated than any verbal exchange. The diplomatic hall itself was a marvel of alien engineering. Gravity fields could be manipulated at will, allowing different species to feel comfortable in their natural environments. Holographic displays flickered with real-time data streams, showing economic indicators, resource allocations, and diplomatic metrics. Humanity's section was consistently colored in muted grays, always at the bottom of most charts, always appearing least significant. This was precisely how they wanted it to appear. Dr. Rodriguez observed the scene with calculated patience. Her research team had spent years developing technologies that could be hidden in plain sight. The human delegation's communication devices, seemingly standard diplomatic equipment, were actually the most advanced quantum communication arrays ever developed. Each device was a potential portal of information gathering, capable of analyzing alien technologies at a molecular level. The Zintheri delegation moved nearby, a collection of telepathic entities that typically dominated diplomatic negotiations through their ability to read emotional and mental states. They passed near the human delegation, their translucent forms casting prismatic reflections across the hall. Normally, they could read surface thoughts with ease, probing the intentions of other species. But with humans, something was different. The Zintheri found human minds frustratingly opaque, where other species presented clear emotional landscapes, fears, desires, immediate intentions. Humans appeared as complex, layered environments that defied simple telepathic scanning. It was as if human consciousness was a constantly shifting maze, deliberately constructed to resist external penetration. Ambassador Chen knew this. Every member of the delegation had undergone extensive psychological conditioning, developing mental techniques that made their thoughts as impenetrable as quantum encryption. What the Zintheri perceived was exactly what humans wanted them to perceive: uncertainty, mild confusion, a species still finding its way. In reality, humanity was conducting the most sophisticated intelligence-gathering operation in galactic history. Each diplomatic session, each trade negotiation, each seemingly minor technological exchange was a carefully orchestrated opportunity. The Confederation believed it was restricting human potential. In truth, humanity was collecting fragments of knowledge, understanding alien technologies at a pace no one could comprehend. Dr. Rodriguez's tablet, which appeared to be a standard diplomatic device, was actually collecting and analyzing terabytes of data with each passing moment. Quantum algorithms developed in hidden research facilities were decoding alien communication protocols, understanding technological systems at a fundamental level. The Krell representative approached its biosynthetic form, a disturbing mixture of organic matter and mechanical components. Your colony expansion requests continue to be modest, it observed, the translation matrix rendering its communication in flat, emotionless tones. Chen lowered his eyes, presenting just the right mixture of deference and mild disappointment. We understand the Confederation's concerns about our development, he responded. What the Krell did not understand was that every modest request was a carefully designed probe, gathering critical information about resource allocation, technological restrictions, and interstellar infrastructure. Humanity was playing a game far more complex than any alien race could imagine. And they were winning, slowly, methodically, and completely undetected. The Adaptive Systems Research Division headquarters stood hidden within the Rocky Mountains, its exterior a masterpiece of geological camouflage. From the outside, it appeared to be nothing more than a series of unremarkable research outposts. Granite-like panels and strategically placed vegetation concealed a facility that represented humanity's most advanced technological sanctuary. Dr. Elena Rodriguez moved through the facility's central laboratory, her steps precise, her mind racing faster than the quantum processors surrounding her. Holographic displays flickered with complex algorithms, representing technological systems that pushed the boundaries of known scientific understanding. Status report, she called out, her voice cutting through the low hum of advanced computing systems. Dr. Marcus Wong, lead quantum systems engineer, looked up from a display that seemed to dance with impossible geometries. His hands moved across haptic interfaces, manipulating data streams that would appear incomprehensible to anyone outside the project. We've completed the third-generation adaptive nano-network integration, he reported. The self-learning algorithms are showing unprecedented growth patterns. The system can now predict and counter technological interference with 99.7% accuracy. What they were developing was far more than a defensive system. It was a living, breathing technological organism that could adapt, learn, and evolve faster than any known alien technology. A massive holographic representation of the Galactic Confederation's known technological infrastructure filled the central chamber. Layers of data pulsed and shifted, each color representing different technological domains. Blue represented communication networks, green indicated energy systems, red showed defensive technologies. The human layers were deliberately muted, appearing almost transparent. To any external observer, it would seem that humanity occupied the most marginal technological space possible. But those who knew how to look could see the truth. Microscopically thin data threads, so small they were virtually undetectable, wove through the Confederation's technological infrastructure. These were not simple monitoring systems. They were adaptive probes, collecting and analyzing information at a molecular level, constantly learning, constantly expanding their understanding. Dr. Rodriguez approached a secured containment unit that housed what appeared to be a simple metallic sphere no larger than a baseball. To the untrained eye, it might have seemed like an unremarkable piece of technological equipment. In reality, it was a quantum communication hub that could potentially link every human technological system across multiple star systems instantaneously. The Xintheri believe our communication technologies are primitive, Dr. Wong commented, reading her thoughts. If they only knew. The sphere contained a computational matrix that could process more information in a microsecond than most alien civilizations could process in a standard year. Its design was inspired by biological neural networks, but far more complex, capable of learning, adapting, and evolving at rates that defied conventional understanding. Nearby, another team worked on adaptive nanomaterial research. These were materials that could change their molecular structure in real time, responding to environmental challenges with a speed and precision that bordered on the miraculous. A simple metallic panel could transform from a rigid defensive structure to a flexible communication array in milliseconds. Dr. Rodriguez's communication tablet, seemingly a standard diplomatic device, was actually a portal to this entire network. Every diplomatic interaction, every technological exchange, fed into this massive, hidden infrastructure. The Krell's latest communication protocols. A young researcher named Sarah Chen called out, "We've completed the full decryption matrix." A three-dimensional representation of Krell communication systems materialized, its complexity revealing layers of information that the Krell themselves might not fully understand. Each layer was being systematically decoded, analyzed, and integrated into human technological understanding. Prepare the next phase of adaptive integration, Dr. Rodriguez instructed. Her tone was calm, but her eyes reflected a profound understanding of the game they were playing. This was not just technological development. This was a carefully orchestrated plan of cosmic proportions. Every piece of alien technology that passed through human hands was simultaneously a gift and a trap. Humanity was building a technological understanding that would fundamentally reshape the galactic balance of power. The facility buzzed with an energy that was part scientific discovery, part strategic preparation. Researchers moved with a synchronized purpose, each understanding their role in a much larger plan. Outside, the Rocky Mountain landscape remained unchanged. Snow-capped peaks and dense forests provided the perfect camouflage for humanity's most significant technological revolution. No alien race could see what was truly happening, and that was exactly how humanity wanted it. New Tasmania Colony appeared unremarkable from orbital scans, a modest human settlement nestled in a challenging planetary environment. Rough terrain characterized the landscape, jagged mountain ranges, dense forests of silvery blue vegetation, and vast plains of metallic-looking ground cover. To the casual observer, it seemed like just another frontier colony struggling to establish itself. Governor Aria Martinez stood on the colony's central observation deck, her dark eyes scanning the horizon. She knew exactly why this particular colony had been selected, not by humans, but by the Krell. The communication had arrived 3 days earlier, a clinical, precise message transmitted through official Galactic Confederation channels. The Krell had invoked an obscure section of interstellar settlement regulations, claiming the planet's resource potential required immediate administrative reassignment. Translation: they were coming to take the colony. Martinez touched a nearly invisible communication implant behind her ear. Confirm defensive readiness, she subvocalized. A series of microscopic vibrations confirmed her message had been received. Every single colonist was part of an intricate, living technological network that the Krell couldn't possibly comprehend. In the colony's central administrative complex, Dr. James Nakamura reviewed the final preparations. Hundreds of seemingly ordinary agricultural and mining systems were actually sophisticated technological platforms. Solar collectors that could transform into defensive arrays. Atmospheric processors that could generate localized electromagnetic disruption fields. Communication towers that were actually quantum entanglement nodes. 68 hours until projected Krell arrival, a holographic display indicated. Martinez walked through the colony's main street. To any external observation, life continued normally. Colonists went about their daily routines, maintaining agricultural systems, conducting geological surveys, managing infrastructure. Children played in carefully designed recreation areas that doubled as sensor calibration zones. Each colonist was more than just a settler. They were a node in a complex, adaptive technological organism. The Krell believed they were conducting a standard territorial acquisition. They had no idea they were walking into a meticulously prepared trap. Communication intercepts suggested the Krell fleet would arrive with 3 primary vessel types: a command ship, 2 heavy assault carriers, and a support vessel dedicated to resource assessment, standard procedure for their territorial expansion protocols. Dr. Nakamura pulled up the detailed schematics of the incoming Krell vessels. Every scan, every intercepted communication had been carefully analyzed. The human team understood the Krell technological systems better than the Krell understood themselves. Adaptive camouflage systems are at 98% readiness, a soft voice reported. It was Sarah Chen, the quantum systems specialist who had been part of the initial research team at the Adaptive Systems Research Division. Martinez nodded. Begin tertiary network synchronization. Throughout the colony, systems that appeared to be standard infrastructure began their transformation. Quantum communication networks activated, creating layers of information processing that would be invisible to any external scanning technology. The colony itself was becoming a living, breathing technological system. In orbit, passive sensor networks, disguised as standard communication satellites, began their silent monitoring. These were not mere observation platforms. They were sophisticated adaptive intelligence systems that could analyze, predict, and counter technological threats with unprecedented precision. The Krell believed they were dealing with a marginal human settlement. They did not understand that every single aspect of this colony had been designed as a sophisticated technological response mechanism. Agricultural drone swarms that could instantaneously reconfigure into defensive platforms. Geological survey equipment that could generate localized gravitational distortions. Communication towers that were actually quantum entanglement nodes capable of processing information at speeds that would make Krell computational systems appear primitive. 47 hours until projected arrival. The holographic display updated. Martinez looked out over the colony. To the untrained eye, everything appeared normal. Colonists continued their daily routines. Children played. Agricultural systems hummed with efficiency. But beneath this calm exterior, an intricate technological symphony was preparing to play its first notes. The Krell thought they were coming to take a colony. They did not realize they were walking into a carefully prepared demonstration of human technological potential. 60 kilometers from the main settlement, hidden within a mountain range, additional systems were coming online. Research facilities that appeared to be standard geological survey stations were actually advanced technological development centers. Everything was ready. The trap was set. The Krell fleet emerged from faster-than-light transit with mechanical precision. Sleek ships of biometallic construction hung against the starscape, their surfaces shifting and breathing like living organisms. Captain Zaravin of the primary assault carrier studied the preliminary sensor readings with growing unease. Planetary scans are unusual, her secondary navigation officer reported, mandible-like appendages clicking with uncertainty. Unusual was an understatement. The New Tasmania colony presented a data profile that defied standard Krell invasion protocols. Life signs were confirmed, infrastructure was operational, but something felt fundamentally wrong. Complete, absolute silence. No emergency broadcasts, no defensive preparations, no panic, just an eerie stillness that seemed to swallow every electromagnetic frequency. Governor Aria Martinez watched from the colony's central command center. Her team moved with choreographed precision, each action deliberately measured. Banks of quantum processors hummed beneath holographic displays that showed the approaching Krell fleet with crystal clarity. Incoming vessels are maintaining standard territorial acquisition formation. Dr. James Nakamura observed, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. 3 primary ships. Typical Krell configuration. Sarah Chen, monitoring the quantum communication network, leaned forward. Adaptive camouflage systems are online. Quantum interference patterns are stabilizing. The colony itself seemed to breathe, not with any organic rhythm, but with a technological pulse that was almost alive. Every structure, every piece of infrastructure was now part of a massive, interconnected defensive system. Orbital sensors, disguised as simple communication satellites, began their silent analysis. Each scan, each minute of observation was a complex dance of information gathering and technological preparation. On the Krell command ship, Captain Zaravin grew more concerned. Standard invasion protocols called for immediate communication with planetary leadership. Yet nothing came. No responses, no resistance, no signals of any kind. Activate preliminary scanning protocols, she commanded. Sophisticated sensor arrays swept across the planet's surface. quantum resonance scanners, capable of penetrating most known forms of planetary camouflage, began their systematic sweep. They found nothing unexpected and everything impossible. The colony's infrastructure was completely normal, agricultural systems operational, communication towers functional, residential zones showing standard life signs, but something felt fundamentally wrong. It was too perfect. Prepare initial landing teams, Zuravan instructed. Standard territorial acquisition procedure. Dropships began their descent, biometallic hulls shimmering with adaptive protective fields. Each vessel carried a specialized team designed for planetary occupation, part military, part administrative, part technological assessment. They had no idea they were flying into a trap more sophisticated than anything in galactic history. Inside the colony, Governor Martinez watched the approach with calculated calm. "Initiate Phase 1, she subvocalized. Beneath the planet's surface, systems began to activate, not with any dramatic explosion or visible defense, just a quiet, systematic preparation that would be invisible until the moment of engagement. Agricultural drone swarms that looked like standard farming equipment began to reconfigure their quantum matrices. Geological survey stations transformed their scanning capabilities. Communication towers became quantum entanglement nodes capable of processing information at speeds that would make Krell computational systems appear primitive. The first Krell landing teams touched down in what appeared to be a standard colony landing zone. Metallic ground cover stretched before them, seemingly ordinary infrastructure surrounding their landing site. They found nothing unusual. Absolutely nothing. Which, for anyone who understood technological warfare, was the most unusual thing of all. Dr. Nakamura monitored the approach. Quantum interference patterns are maintaining 99.8% stability, he reported. They suspect nothing. Sarah Chen's fingers moved across her interface. Layers of quantum communication networks began to synchronize. Each system, each piece of infrastructure was becoming part of a massive living technological organism. The colony was no longer just a human settlement. It was a weapon so sophisticated, so perfectly camouflaged, that the Krell would not understand they were already defeated long before their first boot touched the planetary surface. Governor Martinez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. The silence was about to be broken. The first indication that something was wrong came almost imperceptibly. Krell landing team leader Vextor noticed it first, a microscopic shift in the quantum resonance of his exo-armor's protective field. Most biological entities would have missed it entirely. But Krell biosynthetic systems were designed to detect the most minute technological anomalies. Something was changing. The planetary surface that had appeared completely normal began to transform. Not with any dramatic explosion or sudden movement. Instead, the very environment seemed to breathe, to reconfigure at a molecular level. Agricultural drones that moments ago had looked like standard farming equipment began to shift. Their quantum matrices realigned, transforming mechanical structures into something far more complex. Metallic ground cover that had seemed ordinary started to ripple with impossible geometries. Defensive anomaly detected. Vextor's communication system crackled. But the message was already distorting. Quantum entangled communication nodes that had appeared to be simple communication towers now pulsed with energy beyond any known technological standard. Layers of adaptive camouflage began to peel away, revealing systems of such sophisticated design that they bordered on the incomprehensible. Governor Area Martinez watched from the colony's central command center. "Initiate primary defensive sequence," she commanded. Dr. James Nakamura's fingers danced across quantum interfaces. Each movement was a complex mathematical equation, each command a precise technological symphony. "Electromagnetic interference fields are stabilizing," Sarah Chen reported. Her voice remained calm, but her eyes reflected the magnitude of what was unfolding. The Krell landing teams found themselves trapped in localized fields that systematically neutralized their most advanced technologies. Exo-armors that had been designed to withstand the most extreme planetary conditions began to lose functionality. Quantum resonance shields flickered and failed. Nanodrone constructs emerged from what had previously appeared to be ordinary infrastructure. They moved with a precision that defied traditional understanding of robotic movement. Each drone was a self-contained computational system, capable of adapting and responding faster than any known alien technology. Captain Zarevin watched in horror from the command ship as her landing teams became systematically disabled. "Impossible," she muttered, though the communication systems were already beginning to fail. The colony itself had become a living weapon. Geological survey equipment transformed into adaptive defense platforms. Communication towers became quantum computational nodes that could process information at speeds that made Krell systems appear prehistoric. Agricultural drone swarms reconfigured into precision targeting mechanisms. What the Krell had believed was a simple human colony was actually a meticulously designed technological trap. Every single piece of infrastructure had been carefully prepared, not as a traditional defensive system, but as an adaptive, living technological organism that could learn, predict, and neutralize threats with impossible precision. The nanodrone swarms began their systematic deconstruction. They didn't destroy. They analyzed, understood, and precisely disabled Krell technological systems. Exo-armors were taken apart at a molecular level, their most advanced technologies stripped down and understood in milliseconds. Quantum interference at 99.7% effectiveness, Dr. Nakamura reported. Governor Martinez watched the display with calculated calm. This was more than a defensive action. This was a demonstration of technological potential that would reshape galactic understanding of human capabilities. Vextor, the Krell landing team leader, found his most advanced communication systems reduced to nothing. Adaptive nanoconstructs had systematically dismantled their technological infrastructure with a precision that bordered on the miraculous. In orbit, the Krell command ship systems began to experience similar disruptions. Quantum communication networks that had been developed in secret were now turning the Krell's own technologies against them. Sarah Chen's fingers moved across the interface. "Adaptive learning systems are now at full integration," she reported. The colony was no longer just defending itself. It was learning, evolving, understanding the Krell technological systems at a level that went far beyond traditional warfare. Governor Martinez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. The silence was over. Humanity's technological symphony had begun to play. The Krell command ship's bridge descended into controlled chaos. Captain Zarevin watched in disbelief as her most advanced computational systems began to unravel. It was not destruction she witnessed, but something far more terrifying, a complete and systematic deconstruction of technological understanding. Quantum communication networks are fragmenting, her primary systems analyst reported, mandible-like appendages clicking with increasing desperation. Our defensive protocols are being analyzed. This was more than a typical military engagement. The human colony had transformed into a living, breathing technological entity that was consuming and understanding Krell technological systems faster than the Krell could comprehend their own defeat. Dr. James Nakamura stood in the New Tasmania colony's central command center, his movements precise, his mind operating at computational speeds that would challenge most artificial intelligence systems. Each gesture was a complex mathematical equation, each command a carefully orchestrated technological symphony. Adaptive learning systems are now correlating Krell technological signatures, he reported. We're not just defending. We're understanding. Sarah Chen monitored the quantum communication networks. Layers of information flowed like liquid mathematics, each stream of data revealing deeper insights into alien technological infrastructure. The human systems were doing more than intercepting Krell communications. They were deconstructing their entire technological paradigm. Governor Aria Martinez watched the holographic displays with calculated calm. This was a moment humanity had prepared for across decades of secret research and strategic preparation. The nanodrone swarms that had initially disabled the Krell landing teams now performed an even more sophisticated task. They were not simply destroying technology. They were mapping, understanding, and replicating the most advanced Krell systems at a molecular level. Computational prediction models are showing 99.8% accuracy, Sarah Chen announced. We can anticipate their technological responses before they implement them. In orbit, the Krell command ship found itself in an unprecedented situation. Their most secure communication channels were being systematically decoded, not through brute force hacking, but through an adaptive learning process that understood their technological systems better than they understood themselves. Vextor, the landing team leader who had first noticed the anomalies, discovered his exo-armor had become nothing more than an intricate collection of components. Nanoconstructs had carefully dismantled every advanced system, leaving behind a perfect molecular blueprint of Krell technological design. This is impossible, he communicated to the command ship, though he knew the transmission was likely being analyzed even as it was sent. The human colony had become a technological predator. Each moment of engagement revealed another layer of sophisticated preparation. Geological survey equipment transformed into advanced scanning platforms. Communication towers became quantum entanglement nodes that processed information at speeds that made Krell computational systems appear prehistoric. Dr. Nakamura's fingers moved across quantum interfaces that looked deceptively simple. Each movement was part of a complex computational strategy that was rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological warfare. Adaptive camouflage systems are maintaining full integration, he reported. We're not just defending. We're learning. Captain Zarevin watched in growing horror as her most advanced technological systems were systematically understood and neutralized. The human response was not a traditional military engagement. It was a complete technological deconstruction that challenged everything the Krell understood about warfare and technological development. The nanodrone swarms began to do something unprecedented. They were not just analyzing Krell technologies, they were beginning to integrate and improve upon them. Microscopic adaptive systems were taking the most advanced Krell technological concepts and enhancing them with human innovative potential. Quantum interference patterns are now at full synchronization, Sarah Chen announced. Governor Martinez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. This was more than a defensive action. This was a comprehensive demonstration of human technological potential that would fundamentally reshape galactic understanding of their species. The Krell had come expecting a simple territorial acquisition. Instead, they had walked into a technological trap more sophisticated than anything in galactic history. The silence was definitively over. Humanity's technological symphony had reached its first magnificent crescendo. The news spread through the Galactic Confederation's communication networks like a quantum wave of disruption. What had begun as a routine territorial acquisition by the Krell had transformed into something unprecedented, a technological demonstration that would forever change galactic perceptions of humanity. The central diplomatic complex on Nexus Prime erupted into chaos. Holographic displays across a dozen alien species communication centers flickered with fragmented data streams, each revealing pieces of the unfolding event at New Tasmania. Ambassador Thomas Chen stood at the periphery of the emergency diplomatic session, his posture carefully measured. The same diplomats who had long viewed humans as a marginal species now looked at him with a mixture of fear, confusion, and growing respect. The Vornak representative, a crystalline being whose form constantly shifted like living light, was the first to break the stunned silence. Explain, it demanded, electromagnetic pulses translating the command with clinical precision. Chen offered a practiced smile that revealed nothing. The Krell attempted a territorial acquisition, he responded. Our colonists defended themselves. Such a simple statement, such a profound understatement. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the diplomatic proceedings from a secure communication center thousands of light years away. Every communication channel, every diplomatic transmission was being carefully monitored and analyzed by systems far more sophisticated than any alien race could comprehend. The Zintheri delegation, typically masters of telepathic negotiation, found themselves unable to penetrate the human diplomatic facade. Where they expected to find fear or aggression, they encountered a calm, calculated presence that defied their most advanced psychological scanning techniques. The technological capabilities demonstrated, a Xanthari diplomatic advisor reported, suggest a level of preparation that extends far beyond our previous assessments. Computational models across the Confederation were being updated in real time. The carefully constructed narrative of humanity as a young, developing species was being systematically dismantled. The data from New Tasmania told a different story. Quantum communication networks had captured every moment of the engagement, not just the military confrontation, but the technological deconstruction that followed. The Krell's most advanced systems had been analyzed, understood, and effectively neutralized by what appeared to be a simple human colony. They did not just defend. A Vornak computational analyst noted its crystalline structures pulsing with complex information streams. They learned, they adapted, they transformed. On Nexus Prime, the diplomatic tensions continued to build. Each alien species began reassessing their understanding of human potential. The technological demonstration at New Tasmania was more than a military engagement. It was a comprehensive statement of human capabilities. Ambassador Chen remained perfectly calm. Dr. Rodriguez's communication tablet, seemingly a standard diplomatic device, was collecting and analyzing terabytes of data with each passing moment. Quantum algorithms were tracking diplomatic responses. Computational models were predicting potential alien reactions. The Krell delegation, typically aggressive and confident, now sat in stunned silence. Their most advanced technological systems had been systematically deconstructed, not through traditional warfare, but through a level of technological understanding that challenged everything they knew about interstellar conflict. "This changes everything," a senior Krell diplomatic advisor muttered, though the transmission was immediately analyzed by human systems. Diplomatic channels across the Confederation began to shift. Trade restrictions that had long limited human technological development were now being viewed with growing suspicion. Had these restrictions been holding back a species with unprecedented potential? The quantum communication networks continued their silent analysis. Each diplomatic transmission, each computational model was being understood at a level that went far beyond traditional intelligence gathering. Humanity had not just defended itself. It had fundamentally altered the galactic technological paradigm. Ambassador Chen allowed himself the smallest of smiles. The game had changed. And no one, not the Krell, not the Vornak, not the Xanthari, fully understood the implications of what had just occurred. Dr. Rodriguez's final analysis came through on a secure channel. Technological superiority confirmed. Diplomatic recalibration imminent. The Galactic Confederation would never be the same. 3 standard galactic cycles after the New Tasmania incident, the fundamental structure of interstellar diplomacy had been irrevocably transformed. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the newly established Galactic Integration Facility, a diplomatic complex that represented humanity's new position in the cosmic hierarchy. The building itself was a testament to human technological innovation. Adaptive architectural systems that could reconfigure based on the physiological needs of different species, quantum communication nodes embedded within its very molecular structure. The final diplomatic protocols are ready for review, Ambassador Thomas Chen announced, joining her at the massive holographic display that showed the intricate web of galactic relationships. The display was unlike any previous diplomatic mapping. Where once humanity had been a tiny, nearly invisible point at the periphery, they now occupied a central position. Not through military conquest, but through a demonstration of technological potential that had fundamentally reshaped galactic understanding. The Krell delegation had been the first to approach humanity with genuine diplomatic respect. Their technological systems had been so comprehensively analyzed during the New Tasmania engagement that they now sought collaborative research opportunities. What had begun as a territorial acquisition attempt had transformed into a potential technological partnership. The Vornak, masters of computational systems, had been particularly intrigued. Their crystalline communication networks now included extensive research on human adaptive technologies. The quantum communication strategies developed by human researchers were being studied across multiple scientific institutions. Governor Aria Martinez, who had orchestrated the defense of New Tasmania, now led the Interstellar Technological Adaptation Division. Her team continued to push the boundaries of what was considered possible in technological development. "We didn't seek conflict," Martinez often said in diplomatic briefings. "We sought understanding." Dr. James Nakamura continued his research, developing adaptive technologies that could communicate across species technological frameworks. The nanodrone systems that had so comprehensively analyzed Krull technologies were now being refined into tools of diplomatic and scientific collaboration. Sarah Chen had become a leading expert in quantum communication systems. Her work bridged the gap between human innovation and alien technological frameworks, creating communication protocols that could adapt in real time to different species' computational methodologies. The Xanthari, who had once believed they could read the thoughts of any species, now found human minds to be the most fascinating computational environments they had ever encountered. The psychological conditioning that had made human thoughts impenetrable during diplomatic sessions was now being studied as a breakthrough in cognitive adaptive systems. The Galactic Confederation's technological restrictions on humanity had been completely dismantled. Trade agreements were rewritten, collaborative research initiatives established. What had once been a marginalized species was now at the forefront of technological innovation. But it was more than just technological superiority. Humanity had demonstrated something far more profound. They had shown that technological potential was not about aggressive expansion, but about adaptive understanding. The New Tasmania engagement was studied not as a military victory, but as a complex demonstration of evolutionary potential. "We are not conquerors," Ambassador Chen would explain in diplomatic sessions. "We are collaborators." The quantum communication networks continued their silent work. Each diplomatic transmission, each scientific exchange was an opportunity for further understanding. The technologies developed during the New Tasmania defense were now being applied to solve complex interstellar challenges: environmental restoration, communication barriers, resource optimization. Dr. Rodriguez looked out over the Galactic Integration Facility. The holographic displays showed a complex, interconnected universe of potential. Humanity was no longer at the periphery. They were at the center of a new cosmic understanding. "We prepared," she often said, "not for conflict, but for conversation." The silence that had characterized humanity's early interactions with the Galactic Confederation had indeed turned into something far more powerful. Not a roar of conquest, but a symphony of technological potential. Governor Martinez's final report on the New Tasmania incident captured the essence of what had occurred. "We did not fight to win. We fought to be understood." And in that understanding, everything had changed. The universe would never be the same.